But the problem is, how do you get through this game mode?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome online, welcome on time. Oh my god, I just received a message. So, you have a new message. My name is Jimmy Imagic, speaking from God knows where to God knows who. Because imagine, everything that you want, you got it. That's right. So I'm gonna start a series of videos, and this is the first one, called What is Reality? So what is this thing I'm trapped inside? What is my body made of? What am I doing? I'm gonna start these series. Oh my god, a message! I'm gonna start these series of videos with this drawing that I made specially for you. In this drawing that looks like an atomium, you can see 11 balls, and connecting these 11 balls, you have 21 tubes. These 21 tubes represent also a passage or a canal within these 11 balls. These 11 balls are called the sephiroths. The sephiroths represent 11 archetypical aspects of your personality, of your inner personality. These archetypical characters could be also in some ways compared to zones of your brain or functions of your brain. Well, that's just an interpretation. Please don't jump on me, okay? Here you have like the right side, here you have the left side there, and in the middle you have the central side, of course, what I would call the corpus callosum, which is this zone in the middle of your brain which connects your right and left hemisphere. So this is the tree of life, or at least a representation of the tree of life. It's an attempt of trying to look like the tree of life. The tree of life springs from a very old tradition which is called Kaballa. Kaballa would be some sort of, how could I describe it? For those who never came across Kaballa, Kaballa is the mystic or spiritual center or heart of Judaism. My point of view, it's maybe once you've scrubbed off all the more superficial layers that we give you in most religions, basically. Okay, do this, do that, blah blah blah. And once you enter the core of the practice and understand the why of the practice, the nature of reality being connected to a form of expressed language, an unsaid language, or rather an expressed code. And there would be a form of language where the signified and the sign would be one, and so the only fact of pronouncing this language or certain words will directly manifest the thing which is signified. Before I go too far into digression, so this is just a humble and oversimplified interpretation of the body, because I sustain this for those whom it might trigger some interest to go and click and go on internet, to go on your browser and find out more, and maybe one day delve into the practice, because these traditions are mainly orientated through the experience. I can only convey to you an interpretation because I haven't dealt with proper hand experience. Anyways, from what I understood, wanted to understand from it, is that we could picture this idea of life being a little bit like a massive multiplayer game. So this higher me higher Jimmy is a multi-dimensional character, and he's playing simultaneously on countless of dimensions or parallel realities, if you prefer that way of speaking. And as he is diving into these parallel realities and totally identifying himself with these new costumes and new surroundings, he ultimately, or she, forgets himself. So me, Jimmy Imagine, I'm just a character, and there are many more. But where? And that's the interesting thing, because from what I understand, this higher dimensional character never really experiences death. How? Because as soon as one character supposedly dies, another one comes back to life. So the totality never really experiences death. You can only locally, I will experience death, but I do not experience it, because as soon as I supposedly die, it would just be like maybe waking up from a dream, or just going up to another world, going up to one of my other parallel realities being lived right now. And the other interesting thing is that we're talking about simultaneous realities. That means this higher dimensional version of myself does not experience time like I do. In fact, he maybe does not experience time at all. Because all these things are happening at once for him, it's all one big jumble. Of course, for them to be able to occur, you need the construction of time, and linear time more so. What I mean is that, for instance, in comparison to my present day right now, another one of my parallel characters or siblings would be in the future. But it doesn't mean it's not living simultaneously as I am. So there are all these Jimmy Imagines in countless number of realities, which are all actually different potentialities of Jimmy. And these Jimmys, of course, are so caught up into their fictional character that they are not aware, of course, of all the other Jimmy characters. They think that their world is the only one. They think their world is reality, as the ultimate reality. But sometimes it may happen that in one of these worlds, in one of these bubble matrices, you may have a hint, or a little something, a little scratch in your reality, a little, a glimpse of woohoo, of something that comes from outside. That's when basically you'll have another dimension, another message, another dimension that comes and collides or intertwines and goes through your dimension. And then you realize that you're not alone. There's these fictional narrations are just touching each other. Well, they will actually express themselves in synchronicities and, hey yo, you know what? You're not alone.
Oh yeah? Wow, that's so cool.
You know what? We're not alone, there's so many more.
Oh my god. What is this for? What does it mean? What is the point of all this?
Well, there is none. And that's the question. It's is there a point to all this? That you are a multidimensional being living on thousands, maybe infinite number of realities right now. That you are in the past, you are in the present, you are in the future. How do you get out of this construction? And what is the point? From what I understood is that the only way to break this cycle is that these local identities become aware of the fact that they are local identities, so they aren't the thing that is playing them. And they must be aware of all the other local identities at the same time, simultaneously. And that would trigger a collective awakening, which is not a collective awakening, it's just a singular awakening, because it's only one thing that's playing all these characters at once. As soon as the local identities awaken from their illusion, this thing ultimately realizes and remember what it is. And so the illusion kind of melts down. This is my interpretation of this. That's how I like to picture it. Trying to tap onto that multidimensional aspect of thyself, which is the one playing, because life is a game and it should be played. So this multidimensional aspect of thyself, which is the one playing, is in there somewhere, or up there, or whatever, what you prefer. And the only way I can have access to this is to continually put to test the boundaries, the solidity of my structure. And I think this is a very appropriate time, because we're realizing the foundations on which our collective structures were standing on are just crumbling down, you know. What we called concrete, what we called solid, had no fundamental ground. It's air, it's nothing, man. It's concept. We were standing on concept all this time, so if that was so real as to make us wake up, go to school, have a job, blah blah blah, get married, and such and such and such and such, basically guide our entire lives, then it's to ask ourselves, what on earth are we standing on? So I think it's also about liquefying more and more the outside shell or skin, if you prefer, of what constitutes your current local identity. I don't want to use the word ego because it's something that comes up so often, but all these things to which your fictional and current character identifies itself to, or are all a question of circumstances, and other potentialities are being currently pursued in other realities, and they exist simultaneously. So understanding that, it doesn't mean throw away your ego and just walk outside naked and invite the divine in thyself, supposedly, as I am infinite. We still are in this construction for a reason, so we have to manage with our local identities, with our fictional characters, but it's more about letting the one who is playing all these collective identities play your role. Do not let your role be confined by the limitations of time, but let the timeless identity take control of your persona. And then we have here the fusion of the most immaterial and abstract form of your identity with the body. The truth can only occur with both in fusion. You cannot have the body without the essential spirit, and the spirit cannot come to realization without the body. You must unify body and essential spirit. Thank you very much. So that was the first episode. If you like it, stay hooked. We're gonna do more. Next time we're gonna talk